Good morning. Today we are going to be Metz Hashem learning Rambam and Hilchis Tayin V'Nitten. The Rambam Perik Tes Halacha Yud Gimel, and he writes as follows: a interesting halacha. Everybody is aware there's a Masechta called Bambatzia, and it begins with a story of two people holding on to a palace, and each claiming it's theirs. Now the Rambam's Lashon, as we will later see, and perhaps very meaningful, but he uses a strange Lashon here, which he doesn't use in general. He uses it on certain occasions. Bo shneim, both people came, adukim b'talis, holding on to the talis, and he uses this word adukim. Making note of it because we're going to come back later and perhaps utilize this. Amarnu lohem, and we said to them, Tz'u v'chilku as the meha, go out and divide up the value. Guys, we can't conclude what to do. This is what you do. Yotsu, they went out. They did as best. Said, go ahead, go figure it out. No, go take it and go to your local person who does these, pawns things and figures out the price, and they'll do that. The chazru, and they returned, and suddenly, man. Only one of us is holding on to it. And then now we got a problem. Because not only did he take it, but it's in one person's hand. He's holding it. And what happens? The guy who's holding it says, the guy admitted his mind. We walked out, and he was a nice guy, and he said the truth. And he walked away from it. And the other one says, no way. I sold it to him. One possibility. And therefore, I sold it to him, but it's still, until he pays me, it's mine. Or that he still loves me the money. In his gaber alai, which is the bigger problem. He grabbed it from me. What do we do? We told him to go divide it. We come back, only one is holding it. So what do we do here? This is the halacha. Now the simple reading is, that's it. He just stuck. He owns it, he's got it. If he doesn't bring a raya, that means whatever the raya is going to be, perhaps mention it later. Finished. Say the regular case of Shuas Hesses, which means you claim you owe me some. You claim that I owe you, and I claim I don't. And Chachamim made it Shuas Hesses. Well, not so sure that it's Shuas Hesses, but assume that it's a Shuas. And that would be similar in all cases. Okay, I wanted to just take a little step into where the Rambam gets this halacha from. Sechtes Bab Metzia Davav. The Gemara tells you the following story. We are talking about this case. We're going to go through a different case over there. They came in front of us. They were both holding on to it. And we told them, Zilu Plugu. They go and divide it up. Now, this is a question. Since when do we give them the option to go divide it up? Which we're going to talk about soon. They went out. Now listen to the Gemara's discussion. Said he admitted that he gave it to me. Yes, he gave it. No, I rented it to him. We say to him, oh, come on. You were claiming that he's stealing it from you. And suddenly you became a business deal with him. Okay. Now, so reading this Gemara, we come to the conclusion. Why don't we believe him that he rented it to him? Because we don't believe that you're going to rent it to a guy you don't trust. You don't rent things to people you don't trust, right? And that's why people take security deposits when you rent. Because they don't trust you. Like when you rent the car, they put on like another $500 or $1,000, depending on the company, or $200. It's because they don't trust you. Well, obviously they trust you somewhat, but that's why they have a credit card. Anyway, so that's the Gemara. Now, immediately you're going to see the Rambam and the Gemara don't seem to be talking about the same thing, at least on the surface. Now, Taisus has a question that it's obvious. The Gemara only spoke about that he claims that he rented it to him. And in that, the Gemara says, you don't trust you that you rented it. What would be if the Gemara, if he would have said, he grabbed it from me? It seems that he would have been believed. Right? That seems to be a given. So why can't we believe him with the famous Migui? That he could have said he grabbed it. He says, it doesn't matter. It's so strong that you won't do business with a guy who you just thought was a thief. That's called Migui Makim that aid. Yeah, the Rashba says a similar thing. So he's going Chazaka. Yeah, different question. The Ramban says, yeah, of course you can believe that he says he grabbed it from me. And because since they were both holding it, there's a proof that it belongs to them. But since he says this crazy the thing that I rented it to him, so therefore, you would think you'd be believed. So we'd say no. Yeah. So on the contrary, you couldn't say that the Ramban says you cannot say he admitted to me. You cannot say L'kuchi biyadi. That because they were holding it. We would think in this case you could. And the reason is Omigo is because Shkur B'Shaker. So those two reasons for sure don't work. The only thing that could have worked was he grabbed it, but this doesn't work. Yeah. So those are their reasons. Now here comes the Rambam, and the Rambam tells us the story that the guy is saying exactly what everybody says doesn't work. And we said, all right, it doesn't work. Okay. So we have to understand, first of all, if he says he paid me and he sold it to me, how does it work? The Gemara says nothing. The Gemara says, now, according to what most people say, is if you say I grabbed it to me, you would be believed. Why the Rambam does as he's not believed. Second, I mean, what should this guy do? What should it be done? The guy's stronger than him. He grabbed it away. Now, if it's true that if you grabbed it, it doesn't work, that not like the way everybody else understood, that I claimed that he grabbed it I would be believed. But if I don't, then, so what do we? What does it have to give us this whole story? Just say it doesn't work. I'm not believing. Finished. The Radvaz in the Shittra Kebetzes asks, how in the world divide it up? They go and just go take care of it yourself. What do you mean? There's a whole Mishnah. You have to be chaylik with Ashua. So he comes up with this interesting answer that we're talking in a unique case that each of them said to the other, no, we don't need shuas. We'll do it without shuas. So in the Rambam, all this is missing. In no discussion of shua, no discussion of being meichel shua. All right. He writes, the Rambam, if they don't bring a raya, he swears. So what does this swear? What shua is this? So the Shach says, and it says, we learned Pshat, shua is Esses. Okay, others disagree. Kevin Samishna says, doesn't write Hesses, and since he doesn't write Hesses, so it doesn't mean Hesses, otherwise he would have written it. So what shvua is this? The Gemara brings a different case, but the Meya Garten now doesn't mention renting, only mentions selling. Okay, so it's possible that he had a different gersa, as the Shittim Betzes brings there in Shnei Rabbeinu Yena, that it says in other words, we made a deal, good or good. We said one will take the item, one will take the money. But he didn't give him money yet, so the guy wants his back. And now we say he would never do that. With the Gemara saying you would never trust him to give you money later. But again, the Rambam doesn't seem to say all that. Now, the Rambam also adds a few words that usually, again, why does he do it? Whenever he does that, it indicates he's saying something. Gemara says, I do you idly. Rambam adds, remember. Well, obviously, I do you idly. Well, why does he have to say that? What's a stalik remember? Okay, let's just take a look at this concept. The Rambam seems to tell us that chotva is not believed. Which, again, we saw Taistus assumes it is, and others assume it is, and the only question why it doesn't work with a migui, again, with chotva. So let's see some of the explanations of why chotva should not work. The Ramban says, you were both holding it. How did somebody get stronger suddenly? And it doesn't sound likely. Well, and nobody knows about this. I mean, how did it? The Rashba says a little different. How did he become stronger than you? The Ritva says that that's a double poshut. That if you say you grabbed it from me, we don't believe you that the guy's such a goslin. We was that sitting in Bezin, in front of Bezin, tells him to go divide it up, and he just grabs it away from you. This is possible that you rented it. That makes sense, but not that you're a goslin. And then same thing with the Drisha, goes in the same approach. The Smeh says, you know he's a goslin. Be careful when you deal with him. Take witnesses with you. You have no right to do that. In other words, yes, you should have been careful. Yeah. Now, why does the Gemara give the reason of ad hashta chazdus lebegasla? No. So he says that if he grabbed it, we know for sure, given the since he's already there, since he grabbed it, Shalekadin, you wouldn't have rented it to him. Even if he's trying to say, even if it's a type of keli that's normal to rent. So by this guy, it's Eina Osu Lahashalask. The Shach says that the reason the Gemara says this svara is to tell you that it's so factually impossible that therefore we have another issue here. Can the other guy grab it back? As we have cases in the Gemara, they each grab it. While I have it, I have it. Well, you can, then the other might see. No, if you claimed that if you would say that, that's it. Anan sad that do you and therefore you can't get. Sefer Yad David says that if he says talk for men, even though it's a mitzvah, talk for men, a mitzvah, yeah, but if you grab it back, then the other guy will be the mitzvah, or it'll be achleiku. But if he says the dmei agarte, we say definitely didn't happen. Well, the same idea. All right. These are the different approaches in the circuit. So we have two. We obviously can explain the Rambam somewhat, but perhaps we can be medayik as we started off. The Rambam used the word adukim. Now there's two expressions the Rambam uses: oichzin and adukim. Oichzin means we're holding. This is generally the rule. Oichzin is they're holding part of the talus, or whatever it is they're arguing over. One part, the other part. One end on the other end, I'm sorry. Adukin means they're both holding a complete part of the talus. And the difference is, Sugya later in Zion, and the Rambam Shitta, is that when they're adukim, we just assume each one takes their part, what they're holding. Because you're a mukzik on that part. Let's say each one's holding half the talus. They're coming in holding half the talus. What does he say here? He says adukim. It's a special case. They're not just holding on to a talus. They're holding a whole part of a talus. Tachas yoda is half the talus, the other guy has half, 3/4 of it, doesn't matter, whatever it is. And basically, makes sense why Bezin told him go divide it, because Bezin doesn't deal with this anymore. You're half, finished. Come on. You each have half. So the Rambam Shitta is take ad yodit shemokam agas b'lishua. Now, in the whole sugya, we're not getting invited to Zion. According to the Rajba, that holds you do have to swear in such a case. The Rambam Shitta does not. So this is not yachleiku. That Bezin tells them, you guys want to know what to do, go out and divide it up by money, not by item. Don't cut the item in half. Divide it up. But it's not a din chalukah. They're advising them. Okay. And if that's the case, things fall into place. There's no place for a Shuas HaMishnah. It has to be Shuas Hesses. And we don't have to write Shuas Hesses. It's so special, because then this is two people who are not dividing anything. They each own half. And what's Negeya is what that you're holding on to the item. So therefore, there's no din of yachleiku, and it's only a din of Bezdin advising them, because we say everything that's tachas yadai, we don't take away. So therefore, it makes sense, according to the Rambam, that if he grabs it back and he says, I grabbed it, he believed. You don't need it. The Levush shows a lashon that it writes, if he says chot from menu, I might say why? The kiva the ada idna yadana le vaday kolecha takum mashu yuchal. The Karav Lahamel Zesh and his Gabar. What's he saying? This is the Rambam Svara. We were both holding half. So now, and I believe that the rest is also mine. And so I probably got what I needed. What's mine? Why did we believe in half? Because you were holding half. Now I'm holding the whole. And that's the Svara. So there's nothing left to discuss. But could be, why am I claiming it's mine? Because I'm holding it, right? So I'm holding it. So if I'm holding it, and I just say, do you either? Admit it. Oh, what? Saying doesn't mean anything. Especially outside of Bezdin. What's outside of Bezdin? And there's nobody around. And we saw them both holding it before, right? So then we assumed they both had it. So that's why Rambam adds with a stalic manner. He actually walked away. Not only was made, he said, "Yeah, that's yours. I gave it to you." I do either way. It has to say that he was in the stalic manner. I said, "It's yours. Goodbye. I'm nothing to do with it." That action of the stalic manner makes it more of a hidah. And therefore, it's a claim outside of Bezdin. But this is all based on the assumption that the Rosh Rambam is the Lashon Rambam is Adukin, and that's the case. It'd be a big chiddush to say that that's only such a case, but it makes sense in the halach. Now, according to our Girsa, why does he not talk about the Meyagat in the lake? I didn't bring that case to this. So he learned like the Ritva says. Because the Gemara wrote it, because there's a svara to say that he should believe that it's possible that he, renting is something that makes sense, but that's not according to the Rambam. We're not dealing with any of this. We're dealing with achazokis. We're dealing with mugzik. That's all. That's all our whole issue is here. You were mugzik half, now you're mugzik in whole, and that's yours. And it's not negated to any of these things. And the end result is it's irrelevant. And that's the fact is you're mugzik, and that's your. All right, al kapanim. That's that could be the mahalach of the Rambam. Makes sense in his diuk haloshen of adukim. Anyhow, Zayd Gizot Stark. Have a great day. Hatzlacha Rabbah.